Okay, guys, so I'm going to be reading something that I have not read in a while. It is a paragraph I wrote last year called The Loss That Lives in Me. And I will put a picture up on screen for you guys to look at as I read of each page. Here we go. The Loss That Lives in Me. I love all the people I have lost. Whether I know them, my whole family, my whole life, or only up until 5 years old. I have lots and lots of people in my life. Some people I have lost are my grandmama, granddaddy, papa, great aunt Alice, Uncle Dave, and Uncle Craig. Losing my grandmama and granddaddy were two of the passings that did not really make me sad. My granddaddy passed when I was 5 years old. This was the first time I lost somebody in my family, and I didn't know what was going on. I can still remember that Dad picked up the phone and just went and called for my mom and told her she needed to pick up the phone. My mom's sister was on the phone and told her that my granddaddy had fallen down the stairs and had cracked his head open. My mom could not stop crying that day and just told my dad to try and explain to me what had happened. All I remember is my dad saying that my granddaddy had fallen down the stairs and was on the way to the hospital. My aunt told my mom not to come to the hospital because he looked really bad and my mom could not have handled it well. My grandmama had dementia and she could not live on her own. So when he fell down the stairs, all she knew to do was call her friend Sally. Sally came and stayed with my grandma until Pastor John Leggett got there to take care of her. My family lived very far away, about 5 hours from my grandparents by car, with no stops or traffic. My mom and little sister had to drive 5 hours every week after my mom got off of work to help clean out the house. I was in kindergarten, so I could not go, and my dad was a police officer and could not use his days off to go every week to stay, so we stayed home. A few weeks to a month later, we had a funeral, and I did not know what was happening. My mom appreciated that I would assume my mom and that I would not know what was happening. So she asked my grandma and papa to come down, my grandma and papa from my dad's side of the family to come watch me and answer questions I had. But on one of the other hands, my grandma passed. I was 13, and I had a lot of people pass by that time of my life, and in a way, you could say I was used to it. My grandma passed away in January of 2022. My mom got the call, called my dad, and then my dad left work and went home. When I got home, my mom told me the news, and I got mad for her not texting or having my dad or her come tell me. I just couldn't stop crying for about 3 or 4 hours. I was sad. We did not have the funeral for my grandmother until the spring of that year. I was not sad by that time, the time we had the funeral. We had the burial of both my grandma and granddaddy at the same time, and I was sad when they buried my grandma and granddaddy, but after that, I was mostly happy for the rest of the day. Both my grandma and granddaddy showed me that I can do things no matter how old you are or what mental condition you're in. Then my papa and his friend, whom I called Uncle Dave, passed. I did not remember a lot about my Uncle Dave. I was only 6, but I remember always doing this where I would sit on his knee and he would say, "Truck, truck to Boston, truck, truck to Lake Lane. Watch out, little girl, you're falling," and dropped me on the ground safely. I did not know exactly what when he died, but I was around the summer of 2016. I did not remember if he went to the funeral or not. All I remember was visiting him in the hospice care to say goodbye before. When my papa died, I was 10. I can remember the day. It was Friday, March 13th, 2020. My dad got a call around 2 a.m. and my grandmother called him to tell him that she thought my papa was dead, but was not sure. So my dad woke up my mom and told her, and my mom came and got me and my sisters and told us what had happened. When we got to my grandma's house, my aunt, my uncle were already there. My mom and sisters were the last. My mom and sisters and I were the last ones to get there. I still remember walking into my grandma and papa's room where he had passed and smiling and smelling the scent of him. It was like a mixture of flowers and old people. I did not go to school that day, and on Monday they called off school for COVID. About 5 to 12 days later, we had the funeral. It was the last big grand gathering before the big shutdown for COVID. My papa was an English teacher, and he showed me that a book can open a whole world. My dad's friend Craig passed in 2020. He was not a blood relative, but he sent me presents every Christmas, and I called him Uncle Craig. He had cancer, and that's what killed him. I was sad, but it did not bother me too much. I had the opportunity to say goodbye to him in August of 2020 when most people were not taking trips because of the pandemic. My dad knew that Uncle Craig was going to die, so my dad asked me if I wanted to go visit him. We went up to Michigan about 3 or 4 days. Uncle Craig had a grandson with him. He was about my age, and he played baseball, so we got along well. Uncle Craig took us fishing. I love fishing. I remember how the boat barreled in the giant waves on the lake. How the rod felt when a fish took the bait, pulling on it. I caught 4 fish with Uncle Craig's help, but none of them were big enough to keep. Much love was in the air. Those few days that we spent together. When he passed, I remember all of the fun we had the day of our gathering. When my Aunt Alice passed, I was honestly devastated. I could not stop crying. She meant so much to me, and throughout my life. She came to visit my grandmother often and came to family events. Even though in like a whole world in the how the world, she was always near. Even though she was far away, she was always near. I don't know what that sentence says. She would always send her nieces, nephews, and grandkids cards for holidays, like Christmas, Easter, St. Patrick's Day, Halloween, Thanksgiving, birthdays, and more. I miss the cards, and not a day goes by that I do not think of her. She brought so much joy into my life. I'm very happy and made me very happy. She died April of 2022, and we had her funeral over spring break that year. Her funeral was the only one I cried at. I didn't get to see her as much as some of the other people I had lost, but I felt very close to her because of the cards. She always handpicked out and sent me cards with dollars in them. Thanks to her, I have saved money to go to college. Even if she had no idea what she did for me by sending all those cards, she made a big impact on my life, and I hope I hope she lives well in heaven. I am a 14-year-old girl, and some of the things I like to do are play softball, play in the school band, babysit, volunteer with my church, ride horses, play piano, help my family cook, and volunteer with Girl Scouts. Through my life, I've always had a safe person in adopting into my mom and dad. I could tell about anything. I was